What's up guys? Welcome back to That Sloppy Vegan. Today we're going to be making some vegan lasagna, one of my favorite dishes, super easy. We're going to make sure we're going to use lots of veggies, lots of cheese, and lots of meat. Let's get to the recipe. Okay guys, so for this recipe we do have a shit ton of ingredients, but we're also going to be making a shit ton of lasagna. So we have our oven ready lasagna here, super easy. You don't have to boil the lasagna, place it in the baking dish, and it's ready to go. Just bake it with all your ingredients. We have some vegetable broth here that we're going to be using for the meat sauce. We have some tomato paste because we're going to be making our own sauce actually. We have a shit ton of mozzarella cheese from Daya. We have our meat substitute, which is Boca veggie ground crumbles. We have an onion for our sauce. We're also going to be making some vegan ricotta cheese, which is pretty easy. It's just some tofu with lemon, salt, and you're done. And then we have some veggies. We're going to be using carrots for our base for our meat sauce. It's going to help bind everything together, keep it nice and consistent. And then we have our veggies for our vegetable layer, which is going to be some squash and some zucchini. And then we're also going to be using some spinach. Usually I get the bags, and I usually get non-organic, but this is all they had at Ralph's, and I was not going to make the trip all the way back to Whole Foods. And then we have some parsley just to help add some flavor and kind of balance out the cheesiness from all this cheese we're going to be using. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut my carrots and my onion to get ready for my meat sauce, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be cooking my meat sauce at the same time as when I'm cooking my meat. So I actually like to rinse the carrots off first, because I actually like to cut the ends off, and I'll cut the tips off also. And then for this meat sauce, what we're actually going to do is we're going to grate these carrots, because we don't want these gigantic carrot chunks in our meat sauce. What we want is we want these really fine, almost like shredded cheese type of look for the carrots, because what that's going to do is while it's cooking in the sauce, it's going to melt and kind of emulsify and thicken this meat sauce and make it nice and creamy, and it's like a bolognese meat sauce. So we're going to shred these. So I totally underestimated how big my carrots were, so I actually just used 2. This is a good amount of carrots. We only need about 2.5, maybe 3 cups. And we're actually going to mince this as well, just to kind of slim it down even more. Okay, so we have our carrots minced, and we have our onions. For all my onion haters, I know that this looks like a lot of onions, but I promise you, it's really going to help bring out the flavor. And I also hate onions also. I've come to realize that cooked onions just taste so much more different than raw onions. So give it a try. If you just cannot muster up the courage to use a whole onion, use half an onion. And then I also noticed that I forgot to mention I'm also going to be using garlic for the meat sauce. So I have 5 cloves of garlic minced up right here. We're going to pop this in a pan right now, and also our meat, and let that brown, and let this pasta sauce emulsify and cook and liquefy. Okay, so I have my 2 pans here. I have this one for my meat sauce on medium heat, and then this one for my meat, which I have on medium high. I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of coconut oil in this pot, and I'm going to put about 5, maybe 6 tablespoons of coconut oil in this pot, because it is our sauce and we do need some sort of base and oil and liquid. So let's get to it. Jesus. Okay, so the oil is starting to smoke. We're going to add our meat crumbles to this pot. They brown. We just want this meat to get coated in the oil nice and evenly. Lower it to medium temp. While that's browning, I'm going to put my veggies in. I'm just going to put the onions in first with the garlic until they brown and release all their juices. Flavors. I'm going to add some salt to the onions. Gotta open it first. Silly. And when they start to become translucent, we're going to add our carrots. Remember to clean up as you guys are cooking and waiting for stuff to heat up. It's really going to make it easier for you come when you're done cooking to clean up, because if you're just kind of waiting around doing nothing while this is cooking, you're going to have a lot of dishes to wash once you're done cooking. So what I usually like to do is, like right now I'm waiting for these onions and this meat to brown. I'll just go ahead and start to slowly put stuff in the dishwasher, or even just wash stuff that I can just wash quickly and just kind of clean up and tidy up. So the onions are nice. They're sweating. They're translucent. We're gonna add our carrots. We're gonna stir this up, and we're just gonna cook this until the carrots start to melt almost, and everything starts to just caramelize. I'm actually just gonna add just a little bit more of olive oil, probably about 2 tablespoons. I'm not really liking how solid this is right now, so just a little bit more oil. Use your best judgment. This is looking a lot better, So we're gonna cook this. It's been cooking for about 5 minutes. I'm just gonna let this cook for another 3 minutes, and then I'm gonna add my tomato paste. Okay, so we're gonna add our can of tomato paste, and we're gonna stir this around and let it cook for about another minute. We're gonna transfer this over to our meat. Okay, so our meat is browned. Now we're just going to turn this off. We're going to transfer this to our meat. Ooh, this handle's hot. Shit. Stir this up. Now we're going to add our vegetable stock. Now I'm just going to eyeball this. And what I'm looking for is to the point where it meets the meat, which is right about the whole damn container. Perfect. We're gonna put this on high heat, and now comes the fun part where it involves a lot of waiting. So what we're gonna do is we're going to reduce this, and what that means is we're going to let all this liquid evaporate. So we're gonna put it on high heat until it starts to boil, and then we're gonna lower it just enough to where it continues to boil, just not a crazy fucking insane kind of boil, just a rolling boil, and just slowly let it reduce, let all the liquid, not all the liquid, but let most of the liquid evaporate. What that does is that it leaves all the flavors in the meat and in the sauce. So we're gonna let this sit at a rolling boil for a few minutes and just eyeball it. Once it starts to go down and you start to see more of the meat. Okay, so our meat's starting to boil. It's on high heat right now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and lower it to about medium. If it starts to boil a little too much and liquid starts to shoot out, just, you know, just lower it a little bit. You just want it to look like this, where it stays rolling boil, slowly evaporating all the liquid. And while this is cooking and reducing, we're gonna make our ricotta cheese real quick. Okay, so for the ricotta cheese, it's very simple. We're gonna be using the block of tofu that we have. We're gonna use half a lemon, and we're gonna add a tablespoon of salt. So you can buy the ones that are in those little boxes, but I find it easier to just buy the ones that are kind of wrapped in this plastic. They usually have a lot less liquid, and usually when you buy tofu or when you cook tofu, you usually want to drain and take all the liquid out. So I just bought this one just because it's so much more easier. I just cut it open. It has like almost no liquid, and I'm just gonna break this up with my hands to make the ricotta until we get nice crumbled up pieces that almost resemble ricotta.
Oh, we're gonna be crunching.
Alright guys, so as you can tell, my roommate just came home, so I'm just gonna switch to voiceover. For the ricotta, I just squeezed the whole lemon into the ricotta and then mixed it with a tablespoon of salt. So the meat's been in a rolling boil for a few minutes. It's almost where we want it, but not quite, still too watery, so we're just gonna keep leaving it at where it's at. I'm gonna show you guys how I cut my vegetables. I usually cut the ends off, then I'll cut it in half, and then what I'll do is I'll stand that up and cut it into like 3 little pieces, and then same thing, cut into 3 pieces again. And then what I'll do is I'll rotate that around and then slice, and then I'll just, you know, repeat this for the whole bit of zucchini, and this ends up coming out to some really nice little cubes rather than gigantic pieces that we're gonna put inside of our lasagna. Always taste test. It's good reference. So this is looking more like what we want. Most of the liquid has evaporated, and the meat is looking really like a nice good bolognese meat sauce. So we're just gonna take this off of the pot and turn it off, and we're gonna start layering our lasagna. I usually put the sauce on the bottom, so since we have our meat sauce, we're gonna put some meat sauce on the bottom, just enough to kind of cover the base of the plate, but not a really thick layer, just cover most of it. Then we're gonna layer lasagna on top of that, the noodle on top of that. Then we're gonna do our veggie layer, which is the zucchini and squash. We're gonna also put our ricotta on that layer. As well as add some spinach. And what I usually do is I'll just like rip them in half and just spread it out on the layer on top of the tofu. And then I'm gonna add the 1 bag of the cheese that we have, the diet cheese, and spread that out evenly. We're gonna add the pasta layer on top of that. Usually what I'll do is I'll push the corner of the pasta in and just like snap the ends just so it fits better. And then I'll add the meat layer on top of that. I'm gonna put some parsley on this layer. Put noodles again on top of that, and this is the top of our layer, which I missed, I don't know why, but on the top layer we put the same thing, another layer of meat with cheese, and I put this vegan Parmesan cheese that I bought from Whole Foods on top. We're gonna put it in the oven for about 40 minutes, and I'll take the aluminum foil off and leave it in the oven for another 10 minutes to help melt the top of the cheese. And we take this out, and this is what we have. Looking really good. The cheese melted nicely. The top layer is not too crunchy. We're doing a fucking drive-by right here. And this is what it looks like when we take it out. This actually ended up being a lot of lasagna because my pans are pretty small. So if I were you and you don't want to make too much, just cut the ingredients in half. But this was our vegan lasagna. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see in the comment section. Take care.